8 Stoic Secrets to Unlock Your Inner Strength. Do you ever feel like you're caught in a storm of modern chaos? Like you're overwhelmed, reactive, and being pulled in 1,000 different directions by a constant stream of notifications, headlines, and demands on your time? It's like we're all living in a state of low-grade panic, just waiting for the next crisis, the next piece of bad news, the next thing to worry about. Our focus gets fractured, our peace feels fragile, and our inner strength, well, it doesn't feel so strong. I've been there. I know exactly what that feels like. The noise of the modern world was deafening me, and I could feel my own resilience wearing thin. My reactions were driven by anxiety, not by reason. It was a draining, unsustainable way to live. So, I turned to the ancient past. I decided to try out 8 timeless Stoic secrets, not as some dusty philosophical exercise, but as a practical experiment in my own life. This isn't just about quoting old philosophers. This is about how I applied their wisdom to build real, unbreakable inner strength. And now, I want to share the 8 secrets that can unlock yours too. Secret number 1. Focus only on what you can control. The first secret is the foundation for everything else in Stoicism. It's the master key that unlocks all the other principles. It's the simple but profound act of separating what's within your control from what's not. The philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave but rose to become a respected teacher, put it this way: some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. It sounds simple, right? But think about how much of our daily anxiety comes from trying to control the things we can't. We worry about what other people think of us. We get angry when traffic makes us late. We despair over the economy. We get consumed by events happening on the other side of the world. The Stoics would say this is a kind of madness. It's like trying to command the weather. You can shout at the clouds all you want, but they won't obey. All you'll get is a sore throat and a deep sense of powerlessness. The real change for me began when I started making this a conscious, daily habit. I was working on a huge project at work, and a key partner organization completely failed to deliver their part on time, putting the whole timeline at risk. My immediate reaction was internal chaos, pure frustration, blame, and a wave of anxiety about the fallout. I started drafting angry emails in my head, complaining to colleagues, and just spiraling. Then I stopped, and I asked myself the question, what, in this exact moment, can I actually control? The partner's actions? No. Their priorities? No. The deadline that was now in jeopardy? No. What was in my control was my response. I could control my own thoughts, my own words, and my own next steps. So, instead of firing off that angry email, I took a breath. I controlled that impulse. I drafted a calm, professional message that just laid out the situation and proposed a meeting to find a new solution together. I focused my energy not on the injustice of it all, but on the practical steps I could take to mitigate the damage. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who was maybe the most powerful man in the world at the time, constantly reminded himself of this. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The result was a complete shift in my state of mind. The anxiety didn't just vanish, but it wasn't in the driver's seat anymore. It was replaced by a sense of purpose. By focusing only on my own actions, I went from being a victim of circumstance to being an active agent in my own life. This is the first and most vital secret. Ruthlessly filter every situation through this lens of control. You'll find that almost all your negative emotions are tied to things you can't change. Let them go. Your strength isn't in controlling the world. It's in mastering yourself. Secret number 2. Practice mindful presence. The second secret is about reclaiming the only time you ever truly have. Right now, we live in the age of distraction. Our minds are rarely where our bodies are. When we're with family, we're thinking about work. When we're at work, we're scrolling social media. We're haunted by past regrets and paralyzed by future anxieties. The present moment, the only place where life actually happens, just becomes a blurry space we barely even notice. Seneca, a brilliant statesman and Stoic philosopher, saw this same problem 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." He watched people squander their lives, always living for a future that was never guaranteed. Putting things off is the biggest waste of life, he warned. It snatches away each day as it comes and denies us the present by promising the future. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. The devastating truth of this hit me hard one day. I was at a park with my young daughter. The sun was setting, painting the sky with these incredible colors. She was laughing, trying to catch a dandelion seed floating on the breeze. It was a perfect moment, and I missed it. I was physically there, but my mind was a million miles away, stressing about some bill I had to pay. When I finally snapped out of my mental fog, the moment was gone. The sun had set. Her attention had moved on, and a wave of shame just washed over me. I was there, but I wasn't present. That was my turning point. I decided to actively practice being present. It started with small, deliberate actions. When I drank my morning coffee, I just drank the coffee. I focused on the warmth of the mug, the smell, the taste. My phone wasn't allowed to join me. When I walked, I'd feel my feet on the pavement and actually notice the buildings and people around me. These were my anchors to the now. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this all the time in his private journal. He reminded himself, every man's life lies within the present, for the past is spent and done with, and the future is uncertain. Basically, we only live in this fleeting moment. The rest is either gone for good or hasn't arrived and might never. Practicing presence isn't some vague, mystical state. It's a discipline. It's the conscious, repeated act of bringing your wandering mind back to the here and now. In stressful moments, this becomes a superpower. When you feel a wave of emotion coming, anchor yourself. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear. This simple exercise breaks the anxiety loop, which almost always feeds on thoughts of the past or future. By mastering the present, you starve your anxieties of the fuel they need to survive. You reclaim your life, one moment at a time. Secret number 3. Cultivate gratitude as a weapon. The third secret is a powerful antidote to the poison of modern dissatisfaction, the practice of active, intentional gratitude. In a world that's constantly telling us we're not enough, that we need a better job, a bigger house, a newer phone, gratitude is a revolutionary act. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, without changing a single thing about our external circumstances. The Stoics understood this on a deep level. They knew that wealth and happiness aren't about what you have, but about what you crave. Seneca nailed it when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." That single sentence gets to the heart of so much of our modern misery. We're conditioned to always want more, so we're conditioned to always feel poor, no matter how much we actually have. I started to test this secret during a really tough time. A business venture had failed, money was tight, and the future felt bleak. My mind was just a swamp of negativity, focused on everything I'd lost and everything I didn't have. I felt weak, resentful, and completely defeated. Following the Stoic advice, I started a simple daily habit, a gratitude journal. Every night, before bed, I forced myself to write down 3 things I was genuinely grateful for from that day. At first, it felt ridiculous. My mind was screaming, "Grateful for what? Everything is a disaster." But I kept at it. I started small. I'm grateful for the hot shower I had this morning. I'm grateful my car started. I'm grateful for the sandwich I had for lunch. Slowly, something started to shift. It was like tuning a radio. At first, all I could hear was static, but by consciously turning the dial every single day, I started to pick up a different frequency. I began to notice more things to be grateful for: a friend's laugh, a good song, the fact that I was healthy. Epictetus taught, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." My journal was forcing me to live that wisdom. Gratitude isn't a passive feeling, it's a tool and a weapon against despair. It reframes your reality. When you focus on what you lack, you feel powerless. When you focus on what you have, you feel resourceful. This doesn't mean you ignore your problems or pretend hardship doesn't exist. It just means acknowledging the good that exists right alongside the bad. Seneca also wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." He knew gratitude wasn't just a trick for happiness, but a virtue in itself, the mark of a noble character. Secret number 4. Reframe obstacles as opportunities. This 4th secret is maybe the most empowering idea in all of Stoicism. It's the mental alchemy of turning every obstacle into an opportunity, every setback into a stepping stone. It's the art of seeing the path forward, through the problem, not around it. Most of us see an obstacle as a dead end, a failure, a hardship, a difficult person. These are just roadblocks. But the Stoics saw it completely differently. Marcus Aurelius captured this idea in one of the most powerful phrases ever written: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Let that sink in. What stands in the way becomes the way. It's not something to be avoided. It's the very material you'll use to build your success and strength. My personal test of this came when I was unexpectedly laid off from a job I'd given years of my life to. It felt like a catastrophe. My identity was tied to that role. My financial security was gone. My confidence was shattered. The obstacle in front of me felt like an insurmountable wall. For weeks, I was paralyzed, just lamenting my bad luck. Then, I remembered those words from Marcus Aurelius. What if this wasn't a wall? What if it was raw material? I started to reframe the situation. The impediment, losing my job, could be the catalyst for a new action. I asked myself, what does this obstacle now make possible? The answer was surprising. I now had time to learn that new skill I'd been putting off. I had the freedom to explore a different career path I'd been secretly curious about. The disaster of being fired became an opportunity to completely reassess my life's direction. This isn't just about thinking positive. It's a practical shift in perspective. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it. You can't control that the obstacle appeared, but you have total control over what you do with it. Will you see it as a reason to quit, or as a challenge that will force you to become smarter, stronger, and more creative? This mental reframing takes discipline. When trouble shows up, your default reaction will probably be frustration or fear. You have to consciously step in and ask the key question, what's the opportunity here? What virtue can I practice right now? Patience, courage, creativity, humility. Suddenly, a difficult client isn't just a headache, they're an opportunity to practice patience. A mistake you made isn't just a failure, it's a powerful lesson. A financial loss isn't just a disaster, it's a chance to learn resilience. By using this secret, you become anti-fragile. You don't just survive challenges, you get stronger because of them. Secret number 5. Live by a moral code. The fifth secret gets to the heart of what the Stoics believed made a life worthwhile. It's the commitment to live by a clear moral code, centered on virtue. In our world, we often measure success with external things: money, status, possessions, popularity. The Stoics had a radically different scorecard. For them, the only true measure of a good life was the quality of your character. The highest good, the only thing worth pursuing, was virtue. So, what is virtue? For the Stoics, it boiled down to 4 pillars: wisdom, understanding the world; justice, treating others fairly; courage, facing challenges bravely; and temperance, mastering your desires. Living by this code means that in every situation you prioritize what is right over what is easy, popular, or profitable. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. I put this into practice when I was faced with a major moral dilemma. I found out a colleague was cutting corners on a project in a way that was unethical, though it was unlikely anyone would ever find out. The easy path was to just look the other way. Reporting it would create conflict, strain relationships, and maybe even hurt my career. It was a classic test: my values versus my comfort. My mind was a battlefield. Part of me rationalized staying quiet. It's not your problem. Don't rock the boat. But then I applied the Stoic lens. I asked myself, what does my moral code demand here? The answer was crystal clear. Justice demanded that I speak up. Courage demanded that I face the potential fallout. My own integrity demanded that I couldn't be complicit through silence. Seneca wrote that to be good is an art. It's something that has to be practiced. I made the hard choice to report the issue through the proper channels. The aftermath was uncomfortable, just as I'd feared. But something else happened that I didn't expect: a deep sense of inner peace. I had acted in line with my values. I could look myself in the mirror without shame. As Seneca also said, no one can be happy who has been thrust outside the pale of truth. By choosing the honest path, I protected my own peace of mind. Defining your core values and using them as a compass gives you immense strength. It simplifies your life. When you know what you stand for, hard decisions become clearer. You're no longer tossed around by other people's opinions or passing temptations. You have an internal anchor. As Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This is the secret to building an unshakable character. Secret number 6. Accept fate and embrace mortality. This 6th secret sounds grim, but it's one of the most life-affirming principles in all of philosophy. It's a 2-part practice: accepting what you can't change, Amor, Fati, or a love of fate, and remembering that life is short, Memento, Mori, or remember you will die. This isn't about being morbid. It's about unlocking a deeper level of gratitude and purpose. First, Amor, Fati. This is the practice of not just accepting, but embracing everything that happens: the good, the bad, the triumphs, the tragedies. Marcus Aurelius advised, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. This means no more complaining about your past. Your struggles are what forged you. To wish them away is to wish not yourself away. The second part, Memento Mori, is even more powerful. It's the daily reminder of your own mortality. The Stoics knew that the thought of death gives life meaning and urgency. I was resistant to this at first. Why would I want to think about death? It just sounded depressing, but I committed to the practice. I put a little skull icon on my computer's desktop, a simple modern Memento Mori. Every day when I started work, I saw it. It was a quiet, constant reminder. The effect wasn't depressing at all. It was electrifying. It became a filter for my priorities. When I'd start to get stressed about some petty argument or minor inconvenience, the thought would pop up. You are going to die. Is this really how you want to spend your limited time? Almost always, the answer was no. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is the ultimate tool for cutting through the noise. It forces you to see what's truly important. Are you going to waste today on anger or procrastination? Or are you going to use it to love, to create, to learn, to contribute? Embracing mortality doesn't make you reckless. It makes you intentional. It's not about ignoring the future, but about not taking the present for granted. Seneca urged, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." When you live with an awareness of death, you stop putting off the life you actually want to live. You make that call to your parents. You start that project. You forgive that old grudge. You say, "I love you" more often. You realize your time is the only currency you truly own, and you start spending it with incredible care. This secret doesn't bring you closer to death. It brings you radically closer to life. Secret number 7. Practice daily reflection and journaling. The seventh secret is the practical tool that ties all the others together. The disciplined habit of daily reflection, usually through journaling. Philosophy can easily stay abstract, just a bunch of nice ideas. But the Stoics weren't academics in ivory towers. They were men of action, emperors, statesmen, former slaves. They needed their philosophy to work on the battlefield and in the chaos of daily life. Journaling was how they turned theory into practice. Seneca had a nightly ritual where he'd review his day, asking himself what he did well, what mistakes he made, and where he could improve. He described it as putting himself on trial before his own conscience. This wasn't about beating himself up. It was about calm, rational self-awareness and making corrections for the next day. When I started this, I was skeptical. I hadn't kept a journal since I was a teenager, and the first few nights were awkward. I'd just stare at the blank page. Dear Diary, today was stressful again. It felt pointless, but I stuck with it. Using the Stoic framework to guide me, I started structuring my entries around a few key questions. 1. Where did I let things outside my control disturb my peace? 2. When was I distracted and not fully present today? Secret. 2. 3. What obstacle did I face, and how could I have seen it as an opportunity? Secret. 4. 4. Did my actions today align with my values? Secret. 5. This transformed journaling from a passive diary into an active training session for my mind. It was no longer just a record of my day. It was an analysis of my performance as a human being trying to live a better life. It became the place where I could untangle my own thoughts and hold myself accountable. The act of writing forces a clarity that just thinking doesn't provide. You can see your irrational thoughts laid out on the page, and it robs them of their power. You start to spot negative patterns in your behavior that were invisible before. Journaling is the daily work of building your inner strength. Each entry is another stone laid in the fortress. It's the secret to moving from simply admiring the philosophy to truly living it. Secret number 8. Exercise patience and endurance. The final secret is one that our culture of instant gratification fights against. It's the virtue of patience and the power of endurance. We want success now, happiness now, solutions now. But the Stoics knew that true inner strength, like a mighty oak tree, isn't grown overnight. It's the product of slow, steady growth and enduring countless storms. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." We get this physically. We go to the gym and lift weights, knowing that the resistance and discomfort are what make our muscles grow. The Stoics applied this exact same logic to our character. Life's challenges and frustrations are the resistance training for your soul. Enduring them with patience is how you build mental fortitude. My test of this secret came when I was learning a new, complex skill. I was used to being competent, to getting things quickly, but with this, I was a total beginner. I was clumsy, slow, and I failed constantly. My mind screamed with impatience. "You should be getting this faster. Maybe you're just not smart enough. This is taking too long. Just quit." That's the voice of a mind conditioned for instant results. To fight it, I turned to the Stoic ideal of endurance. I reminded myself that this frustration was the very labor strengthening my mind. Each failure wasn't a sign to quit. It was just a necessary part of the process. I started focusing on the effort, not the immediate outcome. My goal for each session wasn't to master the skill, but simply to endure the discomfort of learning for a little while longer. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible for anyone to accomplish." It was a call for patience with the process. This applies to everything meaningful: building a business, nurturing a relationship, raising a family, or improving yourself. All of it requires patience and the willingness to endure discomfort for the sake of growth. When you feel the burn of frustration, remind yourself, this is the training. This is where strength is built. As Seneca advised, to bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. By practicing patience, you change your relationship with time. You stop seeing it as an enemy to race against, and start seeing it as an ally that allows for deep, lasting growth. You develop a quiet confidence that you can outlast any problem. This is the final secret that locks all the others into place, creating a foundation of resilience that is truly unbreakable. Conclusion. So, there you have it. 8 ancient secrets that I put to the test in the middle of all this modern chaos. Focus on what you control. Be present. Practice gratitude. Reframe obstacles. Live by your code. Embrace mortality. Reflect daily. And practice patience. Individually, each of these is a powerful tool. But when you practice them together, they become something more. They become a system for living that builds a fortress inside your soul, an inner citadel of peace and strength that outside events can't touch. My journey with this philosophy didn't magically make all my problems disappear. The storms still come, but how I face them has fundamentally changed. That feeling of being overwhelmed and reactive has been replaced by a quiet, steady confidence. I'm no longer a leaf blown about by the wind, but more like a tree that's learned to bend without breaking, drawing strength from the very resistance it faces. This isn't a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice, but it's a practice that offers the greatest prize there is: freedom. Freedom from anxiety, freedom from fear, and the freedom to live a life of purpose and profound inner strength. The power to build this strength is already inside you. These secrets are simply the keys to unlocking it. If you found these Stoic secrets valuable and want more timeless wisdom for building a resilient life, subscribe to the channel and join our community. Thank you for watching.